Man, it's a beautiful farm. Absolutely beautiful. Probably checking his phone. Hey guys, Kapper here. Big day today. It's April 22nd, and I'm headed over the river into Kentucky to look at two farms. Two potential high-value farms. High potential, that is. Same thing as high value. Anyways, one of them is 203 acres with an extra 12 acres with a small house, and the other one is 209 acres, and it looks like strip ground for one of them. But the aerials and the pictures look pretty good. Neither of them is going to be a 10 out of 10. I already know that, but we're shooting for 8 out of 10. You know, so when you search for your perfect property, the perfect one is not often ever there. So you have to make decisions. You know, do I want to live life and have property that's a 7 or 8 out of 10? Or do I want to wait for the one that will never come? Some people get lucky. Very few people get lucky, but some people find a 10 out of 10. Pretty rare, I'll tell you that. So anyways, let's have some fun. I'll be bringing you two videos of the two properties. So let's head over to the Ohio River and check it out. Man, this is some beautiful country down here, even in southern Illinois still. It's really just a shame that the dang Chicago politics is trying to wreck the entire state. I mean, beautiful ridges and hills and farms. A lot of horse farms here. Just beautiful, beautiful country. But I'm headed across the river into Kentucky. Alright, junction highway number 1, Illinois. I'm not sure if that was actually the first highway in Illinois, but it's kind of interesting. Oh, look at this. This is a bonus day right here. When you pull up to the ferry and they're just loading it, you know it's going to be a good day right then and there. Wow. You hardly get this at all. Hardly. Alright, I kind of missed the this ferry crossing. You could see the river is still quite high, but they've reopened the ferry. When we used to have our other Kentucky farm, it was actually right on this river. You could actually see the Ohio River from the top ridge of our other Kentucky farm. So this is just beautiful country. All right, one other thing to mention is, look at here. I just got off the ferry and these fields are all wet. Okay, so when you talk about looking ahead, a lot of people have called me paranoid about looking ahead at things that I believe can or will happen. So with the weather changing the way it is, I am not going to buy a property that's anywhere near any of the major rivers. Because if we do continue to have these crazy rains, you don't want to be flooded out, okay? So you do want to look ahead a little bit. You know, if whatever climate change continues, you don't want to have a farm that's potentially going to flood on you later on. So that's why we try to find farms on high ground, and we very seldom buy bottom ground. Just food for thought. Morning.
You all right?
Yeah, not too bad.
Come on in.
Hey.
What's going on.
What do you say, man?
Not much. Well, you know, good. How you doing?
Good. So what are your words of wisdom for today? This is Mark Williams.
We're gonna go put some feet on the ground and ground proof some property and see if they live up to the hype.
All right, man. I'm looking forward to it.
10-4.
When I go and look at property, I try to get intel first. You look at the computers, you look at the property lines, and no, we're not looking at 900 acres. That's just, we're looking at 200 of this 900. But you get intel first on terrain, on neighboring properties, on things you want to look for when you get boots on the ground. So it's helpful to have a little bit of early intel before you step on the ground. Here, as far as houses or anything?
That's it.
That's it? How far? This dead ends, right?
This dead ends.
So these blocks on both sides, are they, do you know much about them? Are they relatively big chunks of land or a bunch of small ones?
There's a trailer right here. I didn't know this trailer was here.
So now, before we even get there, I want to look at the road. I want to look at the houses that are on both sides of it. You know, what is past it, what's in front of it. Sometimes it can have an adverse effect. Sometimes it doesn't. But it's just good for you to know before you go look at the property what's on the road.
Kind of going up the edge of the property line right here.
So the left is the property.
Left is the property. Okay. There's a base of that hill right there, kind of right in here. It starts going.
Still hanging on the line, it looks like.
Yeah, the line is down closer to there where that trail was at. Where that road went off.
Alright, so now we're on the perimeter road of the property here that we're purchasing. On the right hand side, actually down this bluff, but there's a really steep bluff here. And on the right hand side as we're driving is the neighboring properties down that bluff. And on the left is going to be our new property.
These lines aren't anywhere close to right. The guy that owned this area right here, that's the guy. That's that log cabin that's right there.
They didn't have the power up here. So they just basically bush hog this field?
Yeah. This is part of it. Now, the guy that used to be.
There's somebody here.
The guy that owned this before the current owner. He had a 500-yard target. He had it set up. And he shot like competitively.
Yeah, I was curious. This is that longest field on the...
Correct.
Yeah, it makes a big hook around to the left.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can clear out 1,000-yard range.
Solar, like the lights you're seeing are solar. There's no power back here.
Okay.
And then this is just got a roll-up door on each end.
Let me paste this thing off here quick.
One of my buddies that was in the lease with me.
The doors are tall enough. It's 30 feet, probably by 16 wide. Okay, so this farm lays out very, very nicely. It's got about 20 acres of hay fields spread out in like 4 or 5 different fields, and the rest of it is all rolling hardwood timber with creek bottoms. Just absolutely beautiful. So I'm gonna mix in the clips here of the offer to purchase and how the negotiations went. And keep in mind, we don't write checks for these property. We're just like everyone else. We have to borrow at least 80%, sometimes 90%, depending on the loans that we get. But I'll interject here because this is the real world and we keep it real and we try to educate people. on how this stuff works. So this is a beautiful farm. Let's look at some more of it, and I'm going to tell you how negotiations went here. I'd say he's just a little too close to that feeder there. All right, so that's kind of a windy clip, but the things I'm looking for here, look on the edges of these fields here. Beautiful big white oaks. And when we're walking and driving through the woods, I'm looking for what kind of trees there are, what kind of tree mix, how mature they are. There is a great deal of timber value on this land that will come in handy here in the future. But let's turn the engine off and I'll show you the quiet test right here. Make it in this thing. Wow, look at that. Is that a big rock over there? Oh, that's a hay bale. Okay, so this is going to be very informal. Purchase went of this 214 acres plus or minus, but I'm going to run it down to you. So the asking price was $499 for the whole shooting match. There's a 203, and then there's a small farmhouse on 11 acres really nearby, and so they're asking $499.
Part of that farm was surface mine, but it's a really nice farm. It's about that
So obviously they have good enough ground. So he must have a lease. Looks like a white oak there, huh?
Yep. There's a little bit of timber on this place. I don't think it needs to be cut yet.
No, it's too early for that.
Pretty good red oak right here.
You know when it was cut last?
No.
The whole building is up there. All right. This drop off, okay.
Yeah. I'd say this on, this whole fence is probably.
Yep.
Let's see where it dropped. That's not the property. The property's up on top.
Boy, that's a shame. At least for part of it, you could build up here if you can clear a few of them trees.
Well, I'm gonna show you a place. It's a pretty building spot.
So we're following the bluff. The bluff line on the right is the property line. I think I asked you, did you know about how many acres of fields there are on this?
So then where his target back there would have been set up at.
I'm not sure where this video is going to fit in, but we looked at it, which you either have seen or will see, and we offered $430. What we did was we dug up how much they paid for it, and they only had it less than 2 years. We dug up how much they paid for it and how much we figured what they had into it, and then we floated the offer of $430. All right, we just came off of the long field. Hey Mark, if you had a Polaris Ranger with a windshield wiper on there, you could clean our view to the front, buddy. Alright, one thing you're going to notice about this property is you look around, it's flat on these ridge tops, which is actually pretty rare. These are really beautiful flat shelves all around this property, but then yet it still has ridges and creeks and great terrain. So this is a very rare thing to have a lot of these really flat shelves mixed in, because you could take those and you could make food plots in there, make clearings. You could do a lot with these flat shelves, but you also get the added benefit of bluffs and creeks and varying terrain.
There's lines down in there.
Hang on a minute, let me film you going down this.
Oh, there's going to be a good one that you're going to be able to film here in a minute.
Alright. I gotta get some side-by-side film.
So we're going to kind of be following the line. Post with an orange top on it.
Yep.
That's the line. And that is a surveyed line.
Surveyed.
And there's those posts are like every 100 to 200 feet.
And what size is that farm?
That's 460 something acres next door.
Okay.
With a bunch of crop ground on it.
Alright. So the line now is up that hill somewhere.
The line's to your right, down the hill.
No, up that way?
No. To back behind
That
us.
way. Okay, so up the hill is on this farm.
That's right.
Alright. That's pretty right there. Oh. Yeah, the new Polaris has a little higher clearance. It's got 13 inches of clearance.
Yeah, I could raise this up. I've got it, but I have never done it.
Alright, hang on right here.
Alright, because I'm crossing right there.
Yep. Oh, Mrs. Kapper's gonna love this.
Careful, that's slick right there, right at the moss.
Alright, we're gonna get Mark coming across this. Straight uphill right here. Oh, I was just gonna tell you, I want to get a few more shots of just you driving on a trail or something. Decent trees in here. Of course, I can never pick out that big one there. That's a beech nut, ain't it?
No. That is a poplar.
Oh, that's a popple? Oh, there's a deer stand behind it too.
No, that could be an elm or a maple.
I would have said beech. What about this one right here?
That looks like a poplar, but that's the same tree. Yeah, that's a poplar. Okay. That's a poplar and that's a poplar.
Alright. Pulp, basically.
No, that's more pulp. Poplars will bring, like I say, you'll see another post.
Plus a survey, which we're going to split in half. And they didn't like that. They came back at 485, and we got to cover the whole survey. Man, that's a nice ravine down there. So is the line up above there somewhere? I don't see anything.
I think it's farther over to the right.
Alright, so this whole time we've been following the perimeter of the property basically. So what I look for out here when you check the perimeter is line pressure. Line pressure from hunters, line pressure from tower blinds, line pressure from any homes being near you. Anything that would have an impact on your property. So when you have properties like this with very, very little to no line pressure, it lays out big. That's what it's called. So this property lays out big. So it's 200, but it probably lays out like 260 because of its remoteness and nothing anywhere near any of the lines for 3/4 of the perimeter. So that big old down tree is new and it's blocking the trail. Boy, Mike Morgan would love that thing. So now he's got to go four-banging around, kind of make a new trail to catch back up with the trail.
Yeah, I'm trying. There's another, that road, I got to pick that road back up somewhere. I had to do this the last time.
Looks like the maple that's down there also. Okay, there's an old fence here. That's the property line on our right. The markings are done, and now we're on to a different property owner that wasn't surveyed. But absolutely beautiful out here. Beautiful. So we then countered at 450 and said, yes, we'll go ahead and cover the survey. And then there's a clause in that each acre is going to adjust by $2,000. So the one piece is 203 acres. So if it surveys at 210, we would then owe them for 7 more acres, which would be 14,000. If it surveys at 193, then the price would be reduced by 10 acres, which is 20,000. And in Kentucky, I'm going to tell you, it's a big risk not having a survey, because a lot of lands in Kentucky are, there's a wide swing of things. Between Mark and us and our dealings down there, we have both seen, the perfect example is this house we're buying. When he bought the house, the seller, it was deeded with 4 acres, a house and 4 acres, and the neighbors all said, no, there's more than 4 acres. Well, when they had it surveyed, it was 11 acres. So he got a bonus 7 acres, but that's the swing you can have. Some farms have gone from 200 down to 100 acres after the survey. Let me get a shot of that shoot house here. Give me a little opening. So this shoot house here is on one of the neighboring properties. That's the closest that we could find driving the perimeter road, and that's out in the middle of a field. It's probably 125 yards off of the line. So we drove probably 80% of the whole perimeter, but that's all we could find for really bad line pressure. Man, it's a beautiful farm. Absolutely beautiful. So it is uber important to get a survey. So anyways, he countered back. The agent worked with him a little bit, and he said the lowest they'll do is $475. We pay the survey costs. There's a pretty nice and wide lane. A lot of flat tops in this woods. Lots. And we agreed to it. It's a beautiful farm. You can't find many like this, and they haven't even listed it yet. I was on the know on the inside because Mark was looking for us, and he knew what we wanted. It wasn't out there yet. So that's how the deal went down. So now we have a signed deal going back and forth for $475 for 214 acres and a nice little farmhouse, about 720 square feet. It's got a mailing address, so depending on what Illinois does and depending on how I feel and so forth, plan A is, if we stay here in Illinois, it's going to be a fantastic deer camp. I can invite buddies there. We can have fun. Plan B is, if we have to move there, we'll live in that house and we'll build a new house and start all over again in Kentucky for the last time, hopefully again. And I'm going to have a message for these Illinois politicians. Trust you me. I'm going to have a message for them of all the money and the employment that we have provided in just 5 years. It's going across the border because of their idiocy.
Looks like we're taking.
Did we pass that spot you said would be a good building spot?
It's all right. If you notice through there, you're up on top, you can see quite a ways.
This, so far, what I'm seeing looks like the highest point.
Yeah.
So where does that road go?
That's where we came in at.
Oh, the driveway road?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
So this is, you take some of these trees right here out, it goes, you got a really nice view.
Okay, so this is where we might build. This is one of the building spots. This is the closest one to the road. And if we do build here, this next video clip is basically of what's going to be our future driveway right here. So we'll just kind of meander through, and this would be our future driveway. We also have spots farther up into the next field that we could build if we want. That would be farther off of the road, but this first spot is really plenty far off of the road. And it's not a mile like we live in right now, but it's so remote, it's pretty. Yeah, it's just beautiful here. So this is the rest of the driveway right here. So most people would build right here, right up by the road, because it's cheaper. Which I get that. If you're on a really tight budget, I get that. But to go another 1,000 feet back into the property, like in Kentucky, if it's your permanent home, they basically give you 1,000 feet free. And adding line is not as expensive as you would think if you do it on your own. So we just prefer to spend more up front and get much more privacy, well, for the rest of our lives, or as long as we stay there. So anyways, that's how the deal went down. We now have a signed contract for a beautiful new farm over the Ohio River in Kentucky. So definitely, guys, stay tuned. You'll see it all unfold here shortly. So thanks for joining us on this adventure. Remember, life is short. Live it up the best you can each day. Stay tuned. Kapper out. Thank you again.